Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the channel, Shotgun Shogun, and I haven't done one of these in a little while, so I decided, hey, you know what? I completely regeared my account from the round up over the weekend. I still have some work left to do on some of my other units, but for the most part, I got a lot of my core units geared up and done. And I figured, hey, it's been, like I said, it's been a couple months since the last time that I did a personal account review. I was busy with tournaments, a bunch of other stuff. So I figured, hey, you know what? Now is a good time to go through all of that stuff. So going to take a look at what it is that I built and what I did over the weekend. Now, first off, one of the things, and I'm going to show you a picture right here, is that Saturday, I completely ungeared all of the units that on my account, everything, all of my 3 stars, all of my 4 stars, all of my 5 stars that I don't really use, because I realized that I had a lot of gear that maybe I got earlier on that low rolled or mid rolled, and I just had all of this gear just sitting around not doing anything for me. It was just taking up space. It wasn't taking up space because it was on other characters, but one of the things was when I was looking through other gear, I would have, or when I was looking for something to reforge or something along those lines, I would just go through this gear and I'd be like, oh, this is garbage, I need to get rid of this next time that we have a free unequip, because I'm not paying to take this off of somebody. So that was one of the things that I wanted to do. So I completely ungeared almost my entire account. Now, there were obviously units like, you know, my core units that have the gear that I want them to have, and it's not going to move. So I didn't really change much of that, but there were a lot of characters that I was like, yo, I need to just completely rebuild this character from the ground up. Now, one of the nice things with this too is that this allowed me to kind of realize where I had pieces, like what I needed to farm, right? Because, well, I have my core geared and I have some other characters geared. I have some characters I want to test out geared. So where am I at in terms of gear? And where I am right now is that I have half gear, and there's pieces that I need to get in order to finish those characters out. This makes it a lot easier for me to sort through a lot of my stuff, because while there's not as much stuff, and yes, I could have just left it on characters, I could have built literally everything and just hoarded that gear forever like a crazy cat lady, but I opted to just get rid of a lot of it. Now, at the same time, I also have a lot of homeless level 90 gear. So let me just go in here real quick. And I opted to just not at the moment gear up characters that I'm not going to use. Like I said, it's still a little bit of a work in progress. As you can see, my Ichi Fine, I need to get finished back again. She doesn't have the bulk that I want her to. I moved a lot of her stuff over to my Fire Ravi, because Fire Ravi is the one that's on Champions Trophy right now. So one of the things I'm trying to do as well is, like, this is a piece of gear that I kind of want for her. Sure, it didn't roll very well. A lot of mid and low rolls in this, so this is something that it probably will get replaced over time, but gear like this is going to eventually get, you know, potentially reforged unless I have priorities. Pieces of gear like this, 10 speed, I'm not at the luxury point where, you know, stuff that I can just dump like that. So there are some units that are geared like that, but for the most part, characters that I wanted to completely gear out, yeah, he's going to get his gear put back on. But after the tournament Saturday, I was like, I need to re-gear, because a lot of my gear was in flux. I hard made my Wyvern 13 team, and I'm working on making sure that I have the gear for the A13 so that I don't have to shift anything. There is that, but I did improve a couple of characters. I need to put an artifact back on Lilius because I moved an artifact around. I'll put Arius on her. Because I use her with ML Crow, and ML Crow now has an adamant shield she'll have an Arius. I was running Portrait on him, but opted to go to the Adamant Shield so that I could, because I would raw pick him into damage teams, and without mitigation, it was a little on the tough side. But I'll start with characters that I have geared that I plan on using regularly. So I did shift up my Ravi. I had her on counter previously, but I have put her back to speed crit. Now, I don't bring this Ravi without some sort of cleanse, whether that be a Momo or a DN or something along those lines, and immunity. I run her a lot with Adventurer Ross for the immunity, because somebody's going to be like, bro, why don't you have immunity gear on her? I don't have anything that fits her right now. A lot of my immunity gear that I did get previously by rolling through A13 for a while just doesn't fit into the stat line and the build that I have for her. Now, I do want to get another 5% critical hit chance on her. It doesn't hurt me as much. With the buffs, though, she is a stun machine. Now, I have been playing around with her, and while I'm not going to, even after all of the stacks, chances are I'm not going to be able to hit the effectiveness threshold to stun a high tier Ruel, but I will stun everything else. I am running the burn EE. Now, does it proc a lot? No, it doesn't. But when it does proc, it's nice. Not only that, but it's the one that got 14% attack on it. I will potentially, I do have the one for the slaughter, and I have the one for the S3 that increases the stun on the S3, but I would lose 2% attack, which at the end of the day isn't the worst thing in the world. So I am considering going back to the stun on the third skill, bringing this up to 85%, which would be nice. We'll see how it goes. I have been testing her quite a bit, because, well, I've played Ravi a lot in general. So I have all of them. I would like the if I do opt to stick with the 10% stun S3, I will most likely just craft one with the high attack, just to min max. Now, I did not really rebuild my Adventurer Ross too much. I would like to get some more speed on him, but his 149 effectiveness is real huge. He's also got a little bit of bulk. He is kind of a fast hybrid Adventurer Ross on the Hilag Lance. I also need to get him to 10 friendships so that I can unlock that smile of his. Fire Charlotte. So I did improve my Fire Charlotte just a little bit. I gave her a little bit more critical hit damage. Now, the downside is I do have some wasted critical hit chance here. That comes from things like this chest piece, comes from like this hat. A lot of times it's really hard to dodge the just residual critical hit chance. I do my best when I can, but a lot of times you roll pieces of gear that have those three on it, and well, it is what it is. But 206 speed, and this catches a lot of people off guard. Now, I could have more attack, I could have more bulk, but the amount that she cycles and the amount of damage that she does is adequate for what I need her to do. 206 speed catches a lot of Spectre Tenebrias off guard, and if you can lap and hit like twice, you're gonna kill them. It's actually pretty solid, and I kind of like it. Now, we'll see what kind of gear I get in the future. There are potentials that I might just slow it down a tad if I can add a bunch more attack, or if I can swap out some of these pieces with critical hit chance to mitigate the amount of wasted stats that I have on her. But that's the problem. You see things like this and you're just like, yo, I gotta roll this. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts on that one. Lilius, I have in this. I need to figure out what I'm doing with Lilius. I kind of just put her back to what she, more of like a mitigation enablement tank. But I would like to go back to a bruiser damage Lilius. It was one of my more favorite times playing with her. If anything, the tournament showed that Lilius is really big, and I kind of stopped using Lilius a little bit, fell off a bit as I, heavily favored FCC and other tanks. But I think I'm going to start drafting Lilius again because the increased attack to the back line is real huge. Now I will probably unlock her concentration just in case I need to have her with health, but it's unlikely. Counter Kayron, pretty easy. I did slow him down a little bit. I actually had him previously a bit faster, and I completely regeared him. I'm like, why do I have this Kayron so fast? I think he was like 190 or 180 something, mostly because Kayron's base stats are really nutty. He did what he needed to do against counter teams, but if I took him in against non-counter teams, it was a little bit tougher. Now his gear is not really where I want him to be. I want to push above 300% critical hit damage, but on a counterattack set, it's a little tough for me at the moment, mostly because like my counterattack, like this is my counterattack boots, probably the better counterattack main attack stat boots that I have. I could put him on speed and go from there, but it's not great. Like this ring, not the best for him, but it had critical hit damage. I mean, I'm kind of wasting the effect resist here, but I could also potentially increase his effect resist so that he doesn't get stripped by, a random bruisers or disabled by random bruisers. But I'm working with what I have. Kayron is not a unit that I use very often, although he should be actually. This is kind of one of my favorite things that I've been working on recently is my rage set Elfelt. Now that I have a rage set, it's super fun. I've been using her in Guild Wars with Silverblade, Araminta, and Broman. It actually does very adequate damage. I very much enjoy it, and it's always been a project that I said, I'm gonna work on this when I have extra Molagoras. And since I have a lot of my core Mola'd up, and I'm obviously a big whale, so I buy Mola packs, I actually do have the ability now to skill her up. So the only thing I'm missing is the 20% damage on the S1, and I do intend on finishing that out because even that still does good damage. Now you might be asking, Shogun, why the critical hit chance? Now her S3 actually does do quite a bit of damage when you crit with it. So doubling into the S3 into the S2 will wipe away a lot of things. I know in Guild Wars I hit a Kayron with the S3 and it killed him and stripped his immunity, meaning that he was asleep, I could easily follow up, I could focus something else. And that I think is one of the big benefits for her. Now she is pretty paper thin for the 187 speed that I have her on, with no immunity, but at the same time I'm also rolling her in with disablers. So realistically, if Broman doesn't silence and stun and Silverblade Araminta doesn't silence and stun, I got bigger problems than my Elfelt because, well, they're gonna just kill me. As you can see, like I said, I've got a lot of units that are just sitting here just butt naked right now because I need to sift through and put residual extra gear on them. And I feel like this was a bit better of a move for me because instead of just going through and being like, oh, I've got some random lifesteal sets and counter sets here, I can actually look at who do I have that I need to build next. I like Shu, but I would have to give Shu my Alencia gear. She needs Alencia levels of gear, and I don't have an extra set to give her right now. Obviously, I used her a bunch, and I really do like her. She's going to be a project that I am going to be working on in the future. I need to get my Rose faster. Unfortunately, my speed gear is real bad. I'm going to be leveling up this neck just because I need her to go a bit zoomier. She's really good, and I need to start drafting her more as an enabler. Now, I know somebody's gonna, light, and a lot of the fleet rose cleavers are like 242. That's so slow. I know. I need more speed gear. Alexa, this is my, just for reference, this is my Wyvern 13 Alexa. This is also the Alexa that I use in normal raid. Dual purpose. So if you saw my free to play air quotes guide on the team that you can use for all of normal raid and even hell raid for certain bosses, this is the stat line that I use for all of the above. It makes it real quick, and she hits like an absolute truck. Cerise is in a spot right now where I don't want to give her all of my fastest gear, although I really should, because I think that even like Oathkey Cerise with fast gear is a good enabler for the Elfelt as well. But I also haven't been really running into cleave teams, speed cleave teams. So I felt that my gear being on Cerise for a niche counter team, because I don't really play control too much, was kind of a waste. That's why I moved it over to my ML Rin, which you'll notice that in a lot of my videos now, I've just been using tons and tons of ML Rin. Now, Seaside Belle, the same as she always has been, although I did get dumpstered by, I've noticed that people are migrating more towards a higher effectiveness tanky Bloodstone SSB, and it's very interesting. I think I might try it out one of these weekends that there's free unequip, but for the time being, this is going to remain my SSB. Now, I do want to get a bit more health on her. I do think that I can sacrifice just a little bit of attack to get a little bit more health, because sometimes she doesn't live through, but there's a lot of times people underestimate the amount of bulk and defense that she has, goes in hard on her, and then suffers and pays the price. Now, you might be saying, why do you have critical hit damage on a Rengar's Drink SSB? And that's because the critical hit damage does help increase off of her modifiers and everything along those lines, like the S3 when I actually do get there, because the damage dealt is increased with that critical hit. And typically I do get to the S3 because of the bulk, so I want to make sure that the modifiers that I have on that critical hit are going to be doing increased damage. Not only that, but it just does more damage, right? I did take my Dizzy back to a counter build with the high effect resist, so that way I'm not getting taunted by a FCC, I'm not getting taunted by a lot of things that aren't obviously just straight dedicated debuffers. 173 speed, this is going to make sure that she goes after most of the immunity sets are off of the other team. Now, I obviously don't draft her into ML Kraus because, well, that would be stupid. I did increase her health and her defense a bit, and 116 effectiveness is not amazing, but chances are I'm going to be able to debuff the vast majority of people that I need to be able to debuff and push back. So I could opt to potentially just get rid of some of the effect resist, like where is the big effect resist pieces that I have here, like the 41 effect resist on the main hand weapon. I could remove that for a little bit more effectiveness, although this hat was insane. I just kept rolling and quad roll into effectiveness on a hit set. I was like, this is all of the effectiveness that I need right now. That allows me to not run a effectiveness main stat ring, and allows me to use this thing, which is another piece of gear that I was like, yo, this thing is insane. I do have a effectiveness effect resist health necklace. I don't usually suggest rolling these. Dizzy is one of the few units in the game that can make use of these stats, so don't roll them. Don't be like me. Effect resist on the boots, and yeah, so I really like this Dizzy. I like where she's at. If I could change it, I would potentially switch to a speed Dizzy to go with a Broman or a Mui or a Flitica, something like that, a stripper into a Dizzy. That's a long-term goal. Domino, Luica's naked, Roman's naked, Angelic Mott. So I've been using Angelic Mott a lot lately. 205, 230 in the effect resist. She's got decent bulk, and she has been putting in work. A lot of people are, running just somewhat debuffs, and there's not too many that can land a debuff on the Angelic Montmorency, the Teflon Don. Now, I could give her more effect resist, but I thought about it, and I can almost get to 300 effect resist on her, but it does make her very, very thin. And the problem is she has, even specialty change 3-star base stats, so you're not getting 300 effect resist with 20k health and 1500 defense. So I think that 230 more than enough on her. I did go with the Rod of Amaryllis in order to really pump out those extra heals, and it does catch a lot of people off guard, actually. My DN 212 got a bit of bulk, got some defense. I want to give her just a little bit more defense so that we can get to that elite. The effect resist is a little bit light. Now, I have been using my Angelic Montmorency a lot more than I have been my DN because, well, anti-crit is a lie. So I do have both of them available, but I did end up giving the lower level Rod of Amaryllis to DN just because anti-crit, when you get crit through it, makes me mauled more than anything in the world. Alencia, same as she always has been. I haven't been drafting her as much lately just because my success rate with her has fallen a little bit. I feel like there's a lot more ways to control her now and work around her, although she's still real big. Fire is making a play again with things like the Ravi buffs, stuff like that. So I have been shying away from her a little bit. I may move her gear to somebody else just to try things out and take advantage of that. Now, Mui, I want to speed this Mui up. I have her on Oath Key. I got a couple pieces, 2 pieces that need to be reforged, but this really isn't giving me much here. The main hand will, but this neck I need to get something more speedy, and I need her to be able to outspeed my SBA 4 strips. She is pretty bulky, and I really like that about her. The problem is that that's what I have right now. 236 speed is going to be good to go in front of an A-Tywin or something along those lines, but at that stat line, it's not the most amazing build ever. My Purgus, really tanky. We've got the 147 speed, so he'll get a turn eventually. He's on just a placeholder artifact right now. I may put him on a Sigurd Scythe, but we got the high effect resist, and I think that's going to catch people off guard. Now, I do want to put him on Sigurd Scythe just because it's going to be huge. I'm going to take him in against teams that really don't have dedicated debuffers. And obviously not an SSB unless I wanted to bring, let's say, like an ML Crow, and for some reason they let me have 2 supporters. 2 supporters and ML Crow and then Purgus would just mean I would be firing off those SSB S2s nonstop, and then I would be zooming horses like super regularly. So that's a potential play, but I do need to get a Sigurd Scythe on him so that when he is low, he can just do the Purgus meme. Either that or I max out this Junkyard Dog and we get some burns. I mean, 2400 attack is not amazing, but it's no slouch if he's just stacking burns all over the place. Charles, I put him on a high damage set. He's got just a standard Elbrus at the moment, because a lot of my Elbruses are accounted for, but if one of those builds change, he'll get a plus 30 Elbrus again. Really don't use him too much, mostly because my Charles just doesn't work. Everybody else's Charles pops off like crazy, makes me mauled out of control. My Charles just doesn't. I do have a decent amount of bulk on him, the 1500 defense, the 33 or 13k health is okay. I would like to get a little bit more health. He is a little slow at 168, but if he hits you, he's going to do a lot of damage. That's what he's going to do. Now, this is my absolute meme-worthy Falconeer Quarry. Now, a lot of people know that at one point I was running a 285 speed Falconeer Quarry, high effectiveness, real fun on Memorandum or Justice for All. But I was like, you know what? I want to try out this meme build. I got hit by a counter Elbrus Falconeer Quarry by Shiok a long time ago. And since then, I was like, bro, this is so toxic. This is super toxic. So I tried to emulate it. This is what I ended up coming up with. And I tell people, I'm like, yeah, no, I have a Unity counter Elbrus Falconeer Quarry. And they're like, yeah, okay, sure you do. And then I'm like, but I do. It's 217 speed, so I'm not opening up on anything, and my effectiveness is 24, but because it doesn't matter anyways, I could have 180. I'm gonna get 15% in regardless. But later on in the game, like later on in the match, once you go into further frenzy, you're gonna have the soul burns for the bird to go onto anything that has high effect resist. But my Unity set, I mean, this hat's 20 speed. With everything that I kind of need here. The chess piece is 21 speed. So I kind of had to put them on her. Now, she has high critical hit chance and critical hit damage for what she is. I would like to get a little bit more defense on her since she scales off of defense, but you can follow up into a deaf broken birded unit and hit real hard. And if you go late frenzy, she's going to just do so much damage. It's kind of nutty. This is just a random build that I put on her. I was trying to come up with a good stat line to make her kind of like a speedy bruiser delete unit. He's just holding extra gear at the moment. Violet. This isn't a great build, but I want to try to run him lifesteal wise. I don't have any molas in him. He is somebody though that I do want to roll through eventually. Landy is in transition. Vivian is the same build I've had Vivian in for a while. I do want to try in the future to get immunity sets on her. Ray is ungeared. Rowanna's gear hasn't changed since I think like the day that I got her actually. So there's nothing to see there. This is my Captain Ricorus. I do use him semi-regularly. I do need to reforge some of his gear. Like this chest piece, not great, but it's a good placeholder for the moment. The necklace is okay for him because I need the HP. The ring is pretty all right. I just need the speed and the health, and then I need to reforge these boots even... Unless I get something, I'm probably going to get something better because these low rolled really, really bad. But speed boots are, I don't really ever throw out speed boots, unfortunately. Here's my Gunther Tooth. He is on Unity as well for memes, mostly because this has 39% attack and this has 40% attack. Now, granted, the critical hit chance and the critical hit damage, kind of garbage, but is what it is. This is my Tooth Gunther. He is a lot of fun. 189 speed. Again, I would like a better neck piece. This neck piece is pretty insane though, but a lot of these pieces of gear, I'm just using what I can get on him. These boots, pretty nutty as well. My Little Queen Charlotte, I did take her boots. Her boots are on Gunther. I gave her, I molded a couple times because I had like 97% critical hit chance previously. So I moved gear around on her to give her a bit more speed. She has 100% critical hit chance now, and she's on Sigurd's Scythe. Now, I did have her on Tooth before, but obviously Tooth is on Gunther, so I moved to Sigurd's Scythe to Little Queen Charlotte, and it has actually helped me quite a bit, which is nice. So I've been using her quite a bit. I really like her. I did switch my A Tywin over to a high effectiveness build, and it's super cancerous. I am trying to find a good balance between damage mitigation, damage bulk, and effectiveness, but this is what I'm on right now. I do need to get this neck increased so I get the effectiveness, get the extra health, get the extra speed. Same with this hat. So those are things that I am going to do. Eaton is the same. Fighter Maya, your typical Fighter Maya build. She bonks really, really hard. Here's my Last Rider Crow. And I have been absolutely in love with Last Rider Crow. He zooms real hard. I have seen some interesting theoretical builds with him, but I can just tell you right now that most people first pick Last Rider Crow or Falconer Corey now. It's pretty gross. My Mersa hasn't really changed much. I don't think I actually changed any gear on her. Still hits like an absolute truck. This is my Specimen Says that I bring in against Arby's, but almost every Arby that I run into now is like 240 speed, so doesn't really help me out too much. I might go ahead and increase the amount of speed that I have on him and just make it so that he can just delete Arby's. Although I do also like to run him with the SBA Broman team. Tempasurin, I need to put boots back on you. Good thing that I checked this out, because otherwise I would have probably taken her into RTA at some point and been like, oh, this is going to be easy, and then not know why my Tempest Surin was dead. Who even has your boots? Let's see. It's defense. Oh, I probably put them on Elfelt. I did. Okay, they're on Elfelt at the moment. Okay, well, they're going to stay on Elfelt, and I will determine how I fix. Actually, I might change her to speed. We'll find out. We'll find out on the next episode. Flitica needs to get built. This is my A13 Watcher Shuri. I just slap a DDJ on him. I need to speed this Broman up. See, this is the problem with not having good speed gear and having to use it across multiple units. My 275 Broman, not the fastest thing in the world. My Silverblade Araminta 248, high effectiveness, got some immunity on her. Now, I could potentially slow her down, but at the same time, I don't use Flitica to enable her, so there's no push forward. So I kind of don't want to, because, I mean, even if Broman doesn't hit everything, if he still strips, and I can still go for them with the SBA, still Gucci. Doris. I've actually been using this Doris, and this Doris is pretty nutty. I don't have a lot of effect resist on her. A lot of this is semi-scuffed gear, but I love Doris. I can't wait for her specialty change. This is my Ruel. It's actually not really that amazing. I need more bulk, or I feel like, I don't know. This is my effect resist counter A Ravi. It's not great. It's not. I just threw some gear on her for the time being. This is my PvE Commander Arena with almost 350% critical hit damage. This is my Dark Corvus. He's 27k with 211 speed. I'm going to probably put a Crimson Seed or a Timeless Anchor on him. But I mean, he's on a lot of basically free gear. My ML Ken hasn't changed in forever. Yeah, that's just what I use. FCC's the same as she always has been. She's just built for PvE at the moment. Assassin Sid, I just have spare gear on him because 240 is not going to do much. Same with so this is my counter meme BBK. I really don't use her too much, but I kind of want to. We'll see. Crescent Moon Rin has been bumped up to 290 speed. 137. A lot of people don't expect her to be this fast, and it kind of catches them off guard, but I still get 15%ed all the time on the first ability. Okay, so Remnant Violet, sped him up a little bit, changed up some of his lifesteal gear, gave him a tad bit more bulk, but this has been working out pretty well for me. I do have 16% effect resist just kind of wasted here, but I think overall this one has been doing pretty okay. I'm not gonna like one shot anything right out of the gate, but like 2 or 3 I cycle pretty well. I do get my Violet's Talisman up pretty solid, and it does follow up the Falconeer Quarry, so sometimes I'm able to snipe out defense broken SSBs, things along those lines. But this has been pretty okay. I have enough bulk that if I do get hit while through evasion, which is going to happen, it's not going to one-shot me most of the time, but it has been working out pretty okay. This is my all-rounder Wanda that I put together. She's at 188 speed, but I had to give her some bulk, otherwise I mean she's just gonna die and not be able to do the job that she needs to do. Although I have thought about speeding her up just to try to get that initial stun in on the Remnant Violet, but we'll see. Need to rebuild my tank whale breath lots. I rebuilt Champ Zerato. He's not as thick as he used to be, not as much damage, but should be able to reforge a couple of these 2 pieces and do some work on him. I do have 27 effect resist. I don't remember exactly where that came from, on which piece of gear, but at the same time, it typically doesn't. Oh, it was these boots. It typically doesn't matter because you're bringing him against like dedicated debuffers, so 27 effect resist is not going to change really anything whatsoever. Blood Moon Haste I've been using quite a bit. He has been putting in work in Guild Wars against Arbiter Vildrids, and then for the most part everybody past that I really haven't put gear onto. I have even kind of benched my Elena just because I just don't use her whatsoever. So I've got a lot of options here, a lot of people that I want to build, and I've got a lot of uncalled gear. This is my Wyvern SSB. So there's a lot of options here. Like I said, it's tough because I just completely, like, I have nothing on almost anybody. That's just spare gear I had her on while I'm leveling her up. So outside of that, I mean, I do have, like I said, I've got, and what am I doing? If I go to level, I've got a lot of gear at the moment that is unclaimed. So what I've been slowly doing is taking these secondary pieces of these secondary characters, the characters I want to work on now that I have just like my solid core done, and go, okay, cool, who do I use these on? Who do I require these boots on? So I'm going to be going down the list, so obviously have more stuff the next time around, because as you can see, I've got a lot of pieces of 90 gear that just don't have homes at the moment. Same with like 88 gear, stuff like that. But I junked so much extra stuff. I may take some of this stuff too and just put it on people I know can push high CP for world boss, things along those lines. But this also does, like I said, help me determine what do I need to work on from a gear standpoint. How many immunity sets do I have? I only have 62 pieces of immunity. Whereas I got 183 pieces of speed gear. I don't really have much health or defense gear because, well, you don't really typically use much. But you know, I only have 17 pieces of rage gear. There you go. I only have 17 pieces of rage gear. Not that I use rage gear all that much, but so this allows me to just look holistically and go, what do I need to farm? I need to farm immunity, obviously. I really do need to farm more speed because, like, all of my good speed gear, especially like boots, are all claimed. They're all claimed, which is kind of feels bad. But there's a bit of an account overview of the stat lines. Like, I know a lot of people ask, like, oh, what about this character? What about this character? What about this character? That's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to get myself to push back up into legend. I decayed really hard out because I was just doing other stuff. But I'm trying to incorporate a little bit of control into my draft. I need some more, like, I have decent high damage dealers. I need to get more, but I don't want to build Spectre Tenebria. So there are a handful of units, like I said, that I need to work on. Probably going to take a good bit of time to work on those. I need to get my Achifine rebuilt. Her HP defense is just real bad. Ken is on my list of people to build. I have that Kayron. Let's see, who else was I eyeballing? I gotta potentially rebuild my Cerise just for strip. I'm gonna probably give Charles a couple more tries, but I really am liking the Fighter Maya. Landy is going to get her own set of gear. I was using, I forget whose gear, but I had to siphon a bunch of gear to work on. But she'll be getting gear. I need to use Vivian more, but here's Ray. I want to really build Ray. Ray is a unit that I actually really want to build. Eastern, I'll get you some boots. I've seen a lot of, like, I've seen a small resurgence in APOC Ravi, but not enough for me to. One of the things I really want to do is like a speed bruiser ML10, like not the super slow, I'm just gonna crit you, but I want to see what I can do. But I gotta go because I don't know why my dogs are freaking out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, if you do like this, make sure you like, favorite, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Cracky.